right, now let's take a look at the latest business headlines. For help with that, we're going to bring in our Monday Money Men, business and markets analyst and NewsMax contributor Seth Denson, as well as accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. Good morning, gentlemen. Let's take a look at those markets. They finished the week down this morning. Futures are up ahead of the opening bell. But we have to start with some big news that actually broke Friday before we went into the weekend. So the U.S. trucking giant Yellow Company shut down after more than 100 years in business. Seth, to you first. I mean, how will this shutdown affect Americans?
Well, it could affect everybody, right? We've already talked about a trucker shortage, and while many of these truckers will be looking for jobs, the facility that they operate out of is going to be closing down. Interestingly enough, taxpayers, you and me, Alex, and a bunch of other folks, we all own 30% of this company. A lot of people don't know that. The federal government gave Yellow about a $700 million loan. And as such, it wasn't paid back, and we own 30% of a company that's about to go bankrupt. So whether it's in our shipping or our overall loss of value, we're all going to feel it.
Not good. I do not like hearing that, Seth. But another company taking a hit last week, Southwest Airlines, having their stock drop 16% in just 16 days. Dan, what's going on here?
Well, it's quite simple. Southwest is just not able to contain their costs, because revenues are actually up here, although not significantly, but they are up. So one would think with all the demand for travel right now, a company like Southwest would be booming, but they're not. Why? Because they haven't been able to contain the costs specifically related to labor. So what they're going to do now is focus in on that area, and on top of that, they're looking at what different travel days they can cut back on, so that, hey, listen, things are going to get even tighter as companies start to look at cutting costs for all of us travelers.
Definitely. I mean, here's another company that actually is coming out with some negative news. Ford announcing they're set to lose $4.5 billion on electric vehicles this year. Ford's still expected to make 600,000 EVs by 2024. Seth, what do you think? Are electric vehicles still the future after hearing this news?
Well, I think they certainly are. Just Americans aren't ready for them yet, whether it's lack of charging stations or just lack of familiarity. I do think EVs will continue to grow and expand, but I think there's a bigger story here on the Ford thing, and it's in contrast to what Dan is talking about over at Southwest Airlines. Something we all need to be thinking about as we're looking at stocks right now, and difference in weight because of where monetary policy is earnings per share. Earnings per share are critical, and while Ford had this bad news, their earnings per share was still up. Thus, they've seen their stock stabilize, and it's still projected to go up. Southwest, on the other hand, flattening and losing on earnings per share. That's a critical component if you're looking at stocks right now, because that's what investors are looking at.
Yeah, definitely. It's Monday, so let's just continue with some negative news. The construction industry continuing to suffer from labor shortages. It's now predicted there are about 650,000 workers missing from the construction industry. I mean, Dan, how do we fix this issue before it's just too late?
Well, here's how you fix this. We simply don't have enough workers in the workforce. So this goes to immigration policy. We must have a solid, organized, and lawful way to get workers into this country, because jobs like in construction are really things that immigrants are looking for, so we can solve the problem there. At the same time, I know the construction industry is trying to get the word out and educate high school students as to why this could be a really good career choice for them. So to me, it's about letting our young people know, hey, you can do really well in construction, and we need to figure out how to be able to bring immigrants into this area as well.
Yeah, I mean, we talked last week about how shop classes have now become more popular in high school, so I think that they would definitely learn those skills. Something else we talked about last week, Trader Joe's, but they're back in the news for even more recalls. Seth, last week it was rocks. This time I'm hearing it may be bugs. What's going on?
Just don't buy food at Trader Joe's right now. I think that's the message here, Alex. Yeah, so the almond cookies last week had rocks in it. This week, now their broccoli and cheese soup has bugs in it, but No, no, no. We're not done with rocks yet. Your falafels might have rocks as well. So here's the key. Soup, cookies, and falafels. Just avoid them at Trader Joe's for now, unless, of course, you like some rocks or bugs in your diet.
I mean, maybe some people do, but I've never heard of bugs, rocks. It's not a good look for Trader Joe's right now.
Bad week for Trader Joe's.
Not a good week for them. Seth Denson, Dan Geltrude, thank you both for coming on this morning. Always a pleasure. All right.